Have you ever downed a digestive tea or tincture and expected it to work like Tums, fast, easy, and done? Yeah, herbs don't roll like that. If you've ever sipped on milk thistle, dandelion, or burdock, hoping for a miracle cure for bloating, reflux, or post-gallbladder blues, this episode is your wake-up call. Today, we're busting the top 8 herbal healing myths that everyone makes, especially if you're swapping out meds for Mother Nature's medicine cabinet. From choosing the wrong form, hello, capsules that never work, to skipping liver love, we're talking real practical herbal wisdom with a dose of fun and zero fluff. So grab your tinctures, settle in, because it's time to learn how to stop treating herbs like pills and start partnering with them for real digestive healing.
Gallbladder gone. Now what? Let's heal from the inside out.
Welcome to Gallbladder Gone? Now what? The podcast for Christian women navigating life after gallbladder removal. Hosted by Jami McQuivey, holistic nutritionist, wife, boy mum, grandma, and a firm believer in God's design for lasting health. Did you know that over 1.2 million Americans have their gallbladders removed every year, and that the majority of them are women? Even more eye-opening is that all gallbladder issues are digestive issues. And poor digestion is at the root of up to 80% of all disease, including hormone imbalances and weight struggles. While Jami isn't a doctor and this podcast isn't medical advice, she shares real solutions rooted in research, experience, and God's Word. Let's get practical, biblical, and real, one step at a time.
Hello, and welcome back to episode 17, the number one reason digestive herbs don't work, or do they? So I want to tell you first a story about a client of mine. We're going to call her Sarah. So she came to me a few months after her gallbladder surgery, and she was miserable. She was bloating after every meal, running to the bathroom at all the wrong times, and totally frustrated. She said, I don't get it. She kept saying things like, I'm taking milk thistle, dandelion, and even burdock, and I'm trying to, be as consistent as I possibly can. And she said, I've got a whole pharmacy on my counter and nothing is working. So after a little bit more digging and asking her more questions, I finally asked, how are you taking them? And she said, I just grab a few capsules here and there, sometimes a tincture if I remember. I figured if it's natural, it can't hurt. All of these were red flags for me. So I started again asking Sarah some more questions and found out that she was doing what a lot of people do, treating herbs like pharmaceuticals, taking random doses, no attention to timing, to her constitution, or the form at which she was taking them, and expecting immediate results. So herbs don't work like that. They're not just quick fixes. They're your body's long-term allies. And a lot of us in the herbal world, as herbalists, I'm an herbalist, will refer to them as herbal allies. And so in today's show, we're going to talk about how to avoid these same mistakes so you can actually get the healing that you're looking for, especially if you're dealing with bloating, reflux, constipation, or recovering from a gallbladder removal. So let's head into the scriptures like we like to do. So in Psalms 104:14, it states, He causes the grass to grow for the cattle and herbs for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth. So this verse highlights God's provision for us and that he wants us to use herbs. They're here for our service, to serve us. And so we're going to look a little bit about how maybe why they might not be serving us, or at least not feel like they're serving us. So the first mistake, so when people are struggling with things like bloating, acid reflux, constipation, IBS, SIBO, or you're just recovering from surgery and you just feel kind of blah or like your energy is low and not feeling great. herbs can be incredibly powerful, but it is easy to misuse them if you treat them like pharmaceuticals. So the first thing that people do that is wrong is treating herbs like a quick fix pill. So the first mistake is using them to mask digestive symptoms, just like over-the-counter medication. So when you get an over-the-counter medication or a pharmaceutical, their job is to stop the symptom. But when we're looking at the body, the symptoms are the only way the body can speak to us. So it's telling us something is wrong. So instead of just shushing it, we actually start to listen to the body. What is going on? Where is the symptom coming from? And support the body the way it needs. It's kind of like if you're driving along with your car, and the check oil light comes on, and you just take a piece of duct tape and cover that signal. It doesn't make the oil not need changed or addressed. All it does is make you not see the light, right? So it really doesn't help. So herbs are not meant to suppress symptoms, but to heal the cause. So kind of like if you're taking peppermint oil to reduce bloating, but you're still eating foods that maybe are known to upset your stomach, or bile flow imbalance. So maybe you're not ready for pizza, and you go and you have not one, not two, but three or four pieces of pizza, and you stuff yourself and you don't really chew the food, and you're not hydrated before the meal, and all of a sudden you're bloated, and then you take some of this peppermint oil and you can smell it, or you can rub it on your belly, and you're like, why doesn't this work? Because it's not a quick fix pill. So there's things that we still need to do to address the issue. And they're not, herbs are partners, if you will, in our healing, not symptoms or band-aids. All right. So the second thing people do or the mistakes that they make is ignoring your digestive type or constitution. Now, I really go over this in my programs because I have found it to be incredibly helpful when I'm working with people. And so, taking popular herbs without considering your unique body type or imbalance can really lead to issues. So, for example, I had a girlfriend call me the other day, "Oh, here's this herb. Should I take this?" And for an herbalist, we have 1,000 questions after that. One, what is going on? What is your body saying? What's your constitution type? How long has this been going on? Let's look at the herb. Was the herb a hot, a neutral, or a cold herb? Is it depleting? Is it nourishing? We have these questions, right? And it doesn't have to be overly complicated, but it does explain why some herbs work for some people really well and not really for others. So some herbs can aggravate the issue based on constitution. So if you're a Pitta type, a Kapha type, or a Vata type. Now, when I'm working one-on-one with people, we go in and dig and find that constitution. So there are tests that you can Google, find your dosha. Um, but those are like 10 questions. And as Ayurvedic practitioners, we spend a lot of time, at least half hour, 45 minutes asking pointed questions to not only understand your constitution type, but also the imbalance. And then we start to do therapies that help that. So here's a quick example. This last week, my son had this huge headache. Now he is a Vata type, very cold, very ethereal, wind, that light, airy type of body type. So and this is where I made a mistake. Okay. So my first thought was he's had similar things in the past. So I'm like, okay, he needs a hot bath because he's a cold type. He needs a hot bath. He needs some hot herbs, and so we gave him ginger and all these things that were warming, and he got worse. And I was like, what is going on? So then I thought, you know what? Every time I need to reassess this. So I started thinking back and asking him questions. He's been running like crazy, like running around. He's been working in the heat. He works at Discount Tire, and he works in St. George, the desert. It's hot. And then he's been hanging out with friends and he's been doing school. So he has a lot of this pitta aggravation. And so I said, honey, I think I may have told you wrong. We need to be start doing cooling things. So he went and he did an ice bath and we started using cooling methods and he started to feel better. So even if we have someone who has a body type, his imbalance went out in a way that it hasn't in a long time because he just moved to St. George. All right. So cooling herbs like slippery elm may work better for like inflamed um digestive systems, while warming herbs like ginger and cinnamon can help that cold, sluggish digestion. So we choose herbs specifically. So I do not love it when people say everyone should take ashwagandha or everybody should have ginger or everybody should take cayenne. We need to do a little bit more digging. All right, the third way mistake that people make with herbs versus pharmaceuticals for digestive problems is the overusing of laxative or quote cleansing herbs. Right now, it seems to be the thing that everybody needs cleansed. And I absolutely believe that on some level. We absolutely need to make sure that our detox pathways are open. Are you having a bowel movement every day? Is your kidneys really working and filtering? Are you breathing? Are you sweating? We need to be sweating. And I've had so many women say, "Oh, I just don't sweat." That either does my mom and it's genetic. I'm like, "No, no, no. No, that means that there's a problem if you're not sweating." And I have personal experience with that. So now I make sure to sweat a lot. I had to open that pathway. Okay, so with that said, is there when people are constipated, instead of fixing the cause of the constipation, they use purgatives or things that force a bowel movement. So like senna tea, cascara sagrada, even magnesium sometimes can be a little bit overused, even though we're all kind of a little um, low on magnesium. But if someone is using senna tea every night so they can have a bowel movement, we may need to look a little bit deeper. That a lot of people say, oh, that's just how I am. No, that's just how you've been for so long, you don't remember what it's like to for your everything to work well. And so a better strategy would be to use things that not force elimination, but retrain the digestion. And those are going to be herbs like triphala, fennel, or some bitters, right? And so again, we don't necessarily want to cleanse and purge all the time. Sometimes we need a little bit more love and balance. All right, the fourth reason digestive herbs don't work all the time for us is assuming that, quote, natural means safe with medications. So there are herbs that interact with PPIs or antibiotics or antacids. And so you need to check with interactions before you use them. So we think that just because we can grow them and use them, that makes them it's kind of interesting because we're like, oh, they're so effective, I need them, but they must be ineffective when we're using them with something else. So the logic isn't necessarily there. Um, but we do need to make sure that some herbs can be canceled out by medication and some medication can be canceled out, or um, kind of more dangerously, enhanced. So we do need to be careful with that. So we like to space herbs and medication at least 1 to 2 hours apart, in case there's interactions. And this is probably if you're on some medications that are stronger. This is something you're going to want to run by your doc. All right, the fifth reason is that when we're using herbs, we're not supporting bile and liver function. So people will start to focus on the gut, which is the colon and the stomach, and ignore what we call the accessory organs. So they're ignoring like the liver and the bile flow, or the pancreas, or the things like that play a role in our digestion. So especially after gallbladder removal, I mean, even all the medications we've been on and everything have to filter through the liver and through the kidneys. So we really want to make sure that those are being supported. So without good bile, without making sure that bile is really strong, we can't digest fats. So that leads to non-absorbing fat-soluble vitamins, and then we can't really eliminate toxins effectively. So digestive enzymes help, absolutely. But also we can combine them as they work synergistically with liver supporting herbs like dandelion root or artichoke or some of those bitters that might help relieve that root cause. So kind of open up that liver, start to really support it. And that could even be some milk thistle. And so we use, as herbalists, we use things synergistically. So again, I can't tell you how many friends, family members, clients will come up to me and be like, "Oh, I heard comfrey's really good for me. I should just take it all the time." It's like, well, I have more questions. So just make sure that you're digging a little bit deeper than my neighbor suggested, dot, dot, dot. Then we do a little bit more. All right. The sixth top mistake that people make is expecting immediate results. So I've had clients who will be like, "Oh, I tried that for 2 or 3 days and it didn't help." And so they'll try to get rid of, bloating or reflux, and it hasn't stopped in 2 or 3 days. So they think that the herbs are not helpful. So in Ayurveda, what's really interesting is that mm, I was trained that a protocol at the shortest is 3 months to 6 months. So we want to be working on these herbs because remember, they're changing and healing the foundation of the body. And so, especially when we have chronic conditions. So, 2 days of a random herb at a random time at a random dose is not going to help, but really, and I don't want to make it seem like it's going to be rigid. It's not. Like usually in the morning, I'll do something in the morning and something in the night, and I just keep that regimen for quite a while. And so kind of, for example, like marshmallow root or licorice may take a few weeks to fully repair a leaky gut or to soothe inflammation. So it can even start helping right away, but to really heal it, it's going to take some time. So this is where patience really pays off. Um, and herbs work with your body to rebuild function, not just turn off alarms or not even to force it to do something, but to really support it. All right, the seventh mistake people make is not addressing the underlying triggers. So we have people taking herbs but still eating foods that cause inflammation. They're not chewing well, they're ignoring their stress, they're not sleeping, and herbs are not designed to overcome our bad habits. So, for example, drinking chamomile tea every day while eating on the gulping air as we eat, and skipping meals, we're still going to have bloating. And no amount of chamomile tea is going to eliminate those poor habits. So, it's a diet lifestyle supported by herbs. And so we combine these herbs with habits, mindful eating, chewing thoroughly, slowing down, meditation, deep breathing. All of these things are going to help with that recovering and digestion and the assimilation, right? Because it's not just enough that food goes in and food goes out, it actually needs to be utilized. And so that's what we're really working on. All right, the last and final one I want to go over that people make a mistake with is taking the wrong form or dose. So we call this in Ayurveda the Anupan, right? And so that's the delivery system. And so for when we're doing herbs in Ayurveda, we're looking at the type of herb for the type of issue for the constitution in synergy with what other herbs, and then when and how to take them. So there's ways you can, Ayurveda talks about putting it in milk, putting them in water, making a powder, making tinctures, you could do enemas, you could do mouthwashes, there's so many different ways for so many different ailments. And so choosing just capsules when actually teas or tinctures would work better and more effectively, then we're going to notice a big difference as we heal and the length of time it takes to heal. So the form and dose matters. And so for those who are have vata constitutions tend to need a little bit less herb and less frequency, whereas those who are kapha or pitta might need more. And so that's kind of something to consider when you're thinking about herbs. Um, and so digestive issues herbs come in direct contact with the digestive system. So things like herbal teas really do help with that and kind of with that soothing. So, for example, slippery elm in a capsule, which it comes in a capsule a lot, may not coat the stomach and the lining all the way down. But when you mix it with water, it becomes this thick kind of tea or gruel. So when you take it, it goes and it coats really well. So you would want to mix it with water and make it a gruel or a thick tea to do that job, right? And so that's going to be important to know that. So for gut lining and repair, teas and powders are usually better than pills. So tinctures work faster, but they can also be irritating if the gut lining is raw. And so these are important considerations. So in summary, um, herbs are tools, not magic pills. And it's important for you to consider your digestive type, your constitution, and root causes, and combine herbs with lifestyle changes, not in place of them, and then give them time to work. Herbal healing is cumulative, and like the scripture says, herbs are for the service of man. And this is why we use them. We let them allow them to serve us at a much deeper level. And so I have wanted we just went over eight reasons and mistakes that people make when using herbs versus pharmaceuticals. So I know that that makes it like, oh my gosh, so what am I supposed to do? So I have just opened up three ways for you to get on the road to healing. And at first, I've been telling everybody about my DIY program, which is my most popular. And it goes through, you can have it on video, and it's many hours of easy education. All right. I just opened up a consultation, a 60-minute consultation with me. See the link in the show notes that if you're like, I just need a step in the right direction, or I don't even know what I need. Here, this is my problem. What do I even do? Where do I even start? And we can get you some practical steps forward to do that. And the third one is I do have, it's limited, space for one-on-one 18 weeks where we do the program together. So you do get all the videos, all the audio, all the downloads, but we go through it week by week and you watch the video and then we come and we have a consultation together. And so you get much more, you get 18 different hours with me, or meetings with me rather, and we get you really on the road to healing. So that kind of takes some of the guesswork out of it. Thank you so much for joining me. And next episode, we're going to talk about how gallbladder trouble triggers arthritis, inflammation, and pain. So make sure to look in the show notes, sign up for a consultation or to work with me one-on-one, or just to purchase the DIY program. And look there, I do have some herbs and things that I suggest for the bundle in there. And I will see you soon. Until then, happy digesting.
If this episode encouraged you or offered practical insight, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss what's coming next. Leaving a review, subscribing, and sharing with even one friend helps more people discover this message, and Jami is truly grateful for your support. Be sure to check the show notes for free downloads, helpful resources, and a link to join Jami's private Facebook group for extra support and community that blends practical health with biblical truth. Just a reminder, Jami isn't a doctor, so always consult your healthcare provider before making changes to your health plan.